Hi, welcome to the video blog this week. Just a few updates for you this time around. Firstly, a reminder really about testing. So if you are symptomatic yourself and are self-isolating, or a member of your household is symptomatic, which is resulting in you needing to self-isolate, then please do get in touch with the HR team via the email address that we've sent out on the e-bulletin and shared at on the video blog last week. So that email address is gtd.hrstaff@nhs.net, and if you do that, then Holly can organise for an appointment for you to be tested. So up until now, the testing centre has been at Manchester Airport. As of this weekend onwards, Greater Manchester are opening up 2 satellite testing centres. So the first one is at the Etihad Stadium in Manchester, and the second one will be at Ashton Primary Care Centre. So if you are off work or unable to attend work and are self-isolating, then please do get in touch with the HR team and they can organise for a test to be done. So secondly, just a reminder about the shielding guidelines that we circulated earlier in the week. So following national guidelines, we reminded staff about the criteria for people to have to shield. So these are patients that will have been contacted by the NHS, probably by your own GP practice or potentially directly from NHS England, who fall into one of a number of categories of patients that are considered to be extremely vulnerable if contracting coronavirus. So we sent out an email reminder earlier in the week, just clarifying what those criteria and what those groups of patients are. If you haven't received a letter from your practice or directly from NHS England, then you won't be in one of those categories. However, we do want to support anybody who remains concerned about contracting COVID, particularly if you have any underlying health conditions. So for people who fall into one of those categories, the guidelines are for you to shield for at least 12 weeks. There are some quite clear instructions on what that means. So I'd urge you to read that guideline if you're one of those patients and fall into one of those categories. If you're not in one of those categories but remain concerned about your well-being and your safety, then please contact your manager, because while we want you to continue to be able to contribute to work and contribute to the organisation and participate with colleagues in the work of the organisation, we obviously want to do that in a way which is safe for you. So please do speak to your manager. And then just a few operational updates just to keep you aware of changes and developments in services that we're providing to all patients, including patients with COVID. So firstly, I mentioned earlier about the 2 satellite testing centres that are going to be available from this weekend onwards for people from across Greater Manchester, staff from the NHS and members of those staff's households, one of which is at Ashton Primary Care Centre. So we've been asked to deliver that testing facility between the hours of 6 and 9 in the evening each day. So Warren, Naomi and the Tameside team have been working really hard this week to put in place arrangements for that service to be operational from this weekend onwards. So I'd just like to express my thanks for those efforts. And secondly, we were asked if we would be able to relocate our out-of-hours treatment centre in Oldham from the Royal Oldham Hospital to the integrated care centre in the town centre in Oldham. So that would release some space for the hospital to use adjacent to the emergency department at the Royal Oldham, and also enable the out-of-hours treatment service in Oldham to work more closely with the COVID centre, which is already located within the ICC that we're involved in providing alongside the GP Fed. So again, that relocation happened on Thursday evening, and I'd just like to thank everybody involved in that. So Dawn, Mandy, Mary, and Shirley. The relocation happened really smoothly. Patients arrived at the right place. Clinical information was able to be passed from the clinical hub to the new treatment centre. So thanks to everybody for all their efforts on that. And lastly, another Tameside and Glossop development. So we were asked to provide a COVID home visiting service across Tameside, which we're expected to be providing from next week onwards. So work's going on to populate a rota to provide that service across the Tameside and Glossop patch, working closely with the existing digital health team that are based at the Integrated Care Foundation Trust. So finally, just following the tragic passing of Lindsay a couple of weeks ago, just wanted to remind everybody that the condolence book is in the clinical hub. So if you have any thoughts, memories, or comments that you'd like to share in memory of Lindsay and Lindsay's life and Lindsay's time here, then please do share those. I'd also like to just pay particular tribute and thanks to Alice Cooper and colleagues in the clinical hub who've done an incredible job raising £565 in memory of Lindsay and Lindsay's life. So I think over £300 of that was put towards gifts and provisions that were delivered to the intensive care unit team at Royal Oldham Hospital that cared for Lindsay in her final days. And the remainder, over £200, is going to be shared with Lindsay's family. So I know the intensive care team were thrilled and touched at the gesture and the thought and the generosity of Alice and the team and the organisation generally, and I'm absolutely certain that Lindsay's family will be equally touched. So thank you, Alice. You did an amazing job, and thank you everybody for your contributions. So as ever, thank you for all your continued hard work, for your continued commitment, your continued bravery in the face of a very, very difficult circumstance at the moment. Please do keep well, look after yourself, look after your family. We really do care about you and want you to remain safe. So that's it for this week. Please tune in again next week where I can give you further updates and news.